Well, in about 2 minutes, the CPI inflation report will be coming out. Expectations, so you know going into the survey, are 0.3% for the month-over-month figure, 0.3% for the core month-over-month figure, which excludes that more volatile food and energy category, and the year-over-year figure, we are looking for 2.6% with that year-over-year core at 2.9. So this could be the make or break moment for any remote potential for cut in July. We know we have some Fed officials thinking, hey, maybe we should just cut interest rates here in July. Next move after this would be September. The jobs report this month sort of suggested, hey, we're probably not going to see any kind of cuts until September. September only pricing in a 60% chance of rate cuts. However, this CPI report could change that. If we end up getting a hot CPI report, it could delay us with rate cuts from September. And if we get a benign number, well, then who knows? Maybe Donald Trump will once again be vindicated in that there's no inflation and that Mr. Too Late needs to start cutting, which is funny because we have a coupon code called Too Late for the programs of Building Your Wealth, and those alpha reports every morning before we open up to the market, which is really exciting. All right, here comes the data. So we've got, and CPI comes in at a match on the month over month. Core comes in soft at 0.2. The year over year comes in a little bit high at 2.7, but that's good. Real average hourly earnings year over year only up 1%, so very, very little movement in real average hourly earnings, but that's good. Usually we look at that core level anyway because we're not looking for that headline level, so the core level beats. The reason we don't look at that headline level so much is because food and energy does move so much. And some of this spike, honestly, in headline could be based on what we saw with the Iranian conflict, some of the conflict we saw in the Middle East. The details will help us know soon, but that core number coming in better than expected at 0.2. And I'm going to take a peek here to see, is that a rounded figure? It looks like that is about 0.18. So yes, it's rounded up, but that's fine. This is a good number. It's not rounded down. Sometimes you'll get a read like a 2.25 or something, and then it gets rounded down. This is good, so it looks like it comes in at 1.8, which is fantastic. You've got treasury yields dipping just a little bit, stock futures adding, which is totally expected. CPI inflation report. Let's see what our actual report looks like. So the actual report indicates that shelter costs were up just a smidge. You've got the, let's see, food away from home increased 0.4% in June, full service meals 0.5%. So a little bit on the food side up. You've got energy increased 0.9% in June after falling 1% in May. Gasoline index increased 1%. I really think that's probably because of what happened in Iran. So I'm really not going to put a lot of weight on this, since I really think this is going to be a geopolitical issue rather than some form of sustained rise in energy prices. Let's go to the actual subcategories and see what kind of juice sits inside of these. I always like to start at the bottom. Well, some of the things are just highlighted from previous times. But what we're really going to look for here is look for the change between June to June. This is what I like looking at. You could look at the May to June rise. We can look at the June to June rise as well over here. This is your year over year. Here's your month over month change. The far right one has the seasonal adjustment. This is the unseasonally adjusted. So if we go all the way to the right side, we'll get financial services coming in lower here at negative 0.1. However, laundry and apparel cleaning services, these coming in a little bit higher, 1.6, 1.9%. Education, comm services, 1.3, tuition, 0.2, recreation services, 0.2. That's fine. Intercity transport down 0.4. Airline fares down 0.1, which for the summer travel season, that's Actually pretty decent. You've got motor vehicle insurance only up 0.1, which is good. You were at 0.7 last time. Motor vehicle fees down 0.6. That's good. Transportation services up 0.2. Fine. Health insurance not so great at up 0.6. Hospital services a little pricey over here. 0.7, and therefore hospital and related up 0.4. Medical services also up 0.6. So this is also where we're seeing a lot of the hiring in healthcare services in these sectors potentially exhibiting higher prices because of maybe tighter labor. Who knows? Tenants and household insurance, 1.1%. You've got lodging away from home. Wow. Including hotels and motels, huge plummet here. Look at that, negative 3.6%. So that Airbnb, that hotel competition really bringing pricing down. Core inflation year over year did tick up again slightly a little bit at 2.9 versus that 2.8 where we've been. Looking for that 0.2 level on the monthly core level to be consistent with the Fed's target. If you really want to be consistent with the Fed target, you're going to come in with a 0.167. We got a 0.18, which is, pretty dang close, pretty consistent with the Fed's looking for. Shelter costs here, you did get about a 0.2 rise here. But honestly, 0.2, that's great. Rent of shelter only 0.2. This is really coming down. I remember when the Fed was still waiting for those shelter prices to come down, you'd see 0.6, 0.5, 0.5. And boy, it took what feels like years to get these numbers to come down. And now they're finally at 0.2, which is more in line with where you want them to be and remain. Personal care products up 0.1. Alcoholic beverages away from home up 0.4. Alcoholic beverages in general down 0.2. You've got recreational reading material, negative 1.0. Newspapers down, negative 4.7. Toys, this is going to be where to look for tariff inflation. Look at this. Toys and recreational goods up 1.8 for toys. Recreational goods 1.3. This would be, think China, right? Look at that. That's actually quite a move up. Now, it's a very small CPI weight in terms of how much money the average consumer spends on toys. On the flip side, computer peripherals and smart home assistant. Oh, yeah, no, look at that. See, computers and peripherals, like I think Corsair gaming mice or keyboards or whatever, up 1.4. Here's your Chinese tariff impact right here. Your Chinese, your Vietnamese, and essentially Asian tariff impact. It is actually showing up in the goods prices. Now, overall, down, but that's because our services are now more rapidly falling in housing, which contributes roughly a third to CPI and a quarter to PCE is coming down. But it's offsetting and therefore masking some of the pain that you're starting to see show up in technology items or products. Smartphones, which have been in deflation, are now at 0%. Let's see what else we have here. We've got photographic equipment and supplies. I always think like Canon cameras. Sporting goods, 1.4%. I hate to say it, these are high numbers. Televisions, which are almost always in deflation, are just at 0.1. Video and audio products, 1.1. Other video equipment up 4.5. Audio equipment up 2.9. This is actually a little hot. Recreation commodities, 0.8. So when we look at just the components of products, medical care commodities up 0.1, that's not that bad. Motor vehicle parts, that's not great, up 0.6. Vehicle market has been in deflation for a while. Still seeing that vehicle deflation, negative 0.7 on used cars. New cars, new trucks down 0.3, 0.4. So that's good. Still seeing that deflation. Let's see. Footwear is up 0.7. That's quite a bit. Men's footwear especially, 2.6. Baby footwear is negative. But footwear in general up 0.7. Not great. Women's apparel up 0.5. Not great. Men's apparel, up 0.2, acceptable. Apparel as a category in general is up 0.4. So you could, I mean, there is no doubt in my mind here, this is starting to show an inflationary impact. Tools and hardware, 1.2%. Household paper products, 1.4%. Look at this. Non-electric cookware and tableware, 3.7%. Literally, fine china. Other household equipment and furnishings, 1.7%. Where's furniture? Clocks, indoor plants, whatever. Laundry equipment, there. Major appliances, holy smokes. Yeah, 1.9%. Appliances, 1.9. This is literally what happened during Trump 1.0. Trump 1.0, 2018, we saw appliance inflation because of the Trump tariffs. We're starting to see it again, and it's possible this is just beginning. Now, this isn't to say that it has to stay around, but you're definitely seeing some of this movement in the product sector. Let's see here. Housing costs were the biggest factor in CPI, with a very tame reading here. Let's see. Okay, so everybody's still focusing on the core items. That's funny. I'm kind of also reading what the suits are saying about this, and everybody right now is still yapping about the core readings. But once we start looking at these actual goods items, you're going to see the inflation. Furniture and bedding, 0.4%. Think restoration hardware is going to be getting whacked with these tariffs. Windows and floor coverings, 4.2%. These are huge numbers. Let's see here. And then we get, this is all, the all items category, less food and energy, only 0.2, which is great. So if you look overall, good. But if you really look, like you open the hood, the car hood, so to speak, you could start seeing where the problems are. All items category down because you're dragging these heavy categories like new cars, trucks, used cars. These are all negative. Used cars down 0.7, which is fantastic, right? But now if you're going to go buy parts for your car, or you want to wear clothing, or you want a TV, or you want to buy toys for your children, all these items are getting whacked with pretty large increases in pricing. Food, very volatile. I usually don't spend too much time over here looking at food. I mean, for giggles, you could see eggs down 7.4% now year over year. The food category is at 0.3. So really, it's not so much that foods or energy category that I think longer term matters. Again, here 0.9, but remember this refers to June, which is highly likely related to the geopolitical issues that we saw with Iran. So not so worried here. These issues, the real question is, can we start to see an overflow of these household furnishings and supplies? 1%. It's a 3% weight, 3.3% weight for consumers. All items, less food and energy, 79% weight in this case. Although all items, I wouldn't be surprised if that actually includes housing. So they don't actually give you another nice subweight over here. They give you this commodities, less food and energies weight, 19%. That section still maintaining its little benign 0.2. Underlying levels or stresses definitely showing up because of tariffs, masked by declines in rent, cars, airfares, and lodging. So I think that's sort of a good way to look at this. Let's see what some other folks are saying. Renaissance Macro Research sees signs of economic weakness in the reports because some goods prices are rising. The softness in services suggests fragility around the consumer. Right. I mean, that's an interesting way to put it. They're basically reading into this even more, and they're saying, okay, well, if software prices are going down or services prices are going down, that's a sign of consumer stress, while at the same time as products prices are going up, which is a sign of potentially problems for inflation to come. Fair. Airfares are down 3.5% over the last 12 months. The car insurance rise of 6.1%, smallest rise since June of 2022. Remember also, car insurance is such a lagger, and so is just insurance in general, it's really slow in terms of when you start seeing that inflation. And we're really just sort of wrapping up that inflationary surge in insurance. Let's see here. Among the factors depressing the core gauge were used cars, trucks, new vehicles, airfares, all of them down, right? Great. So housing, airfares, cars, fantastic. These are huge categories. Services, very low inflation. Goods, stuff that you're buying from China, furniture, toys, clothing, Vietnam, household goods, clocks, whatever. These things are starting to see some substantial inflation. Probably won't be strong enough to actually show up in the inflation reads. But really, what happens, and this is kind of a weird thing to say, but one of the reasons why the Federal Reserve may not cut as much is because if it weren't for tariffs, we could potentially be in deflation. So think about that for a moment. If we're in deflation, and these reports, if it were not for tariffs, instead of coming in at 0.2, we're coming in at negative 0.1, we'd be rapidly cutting rates right now. So it is highly likely that the tariffs could keep rates higher for longer because we're preventing inflation from falling into deflation, which if it weren't for these rises in some of these goods prices is potentially occurring. So I find that very interesting. As far as what we have with the market reaction, should be positive. Yeah, NASDAQ's up. The 10-year is basically flat, which shows you that the Treasury market is really looking at this and saying, hey, man, like this isn't really good enough to beget cuts rapidly. It's not negative enough. Yeah, it's good, but it's not good enough for rapid cuts. And again, that's thanks to tariffs. Now, July 30th's Fed meeting is now implying only a 2.6% chance of a cut, and the September 17th meeting implying now a total of a 67% chance of a cut, including that 2.6-ish% from July, since we don't actually think we'll get a cut there. So market's still pricing in, trying to price in one cut for September, not really pricing in full cut until October 29th. Whew. Ay. All right, time for some coffee and the course member live stream. So thanks so much for watching the CPI breakdown. We're going to go build up the alpha report now for trades for the days and setup for the days, fundamental analysis. So if you want to join that, make sure you are part of the course member live stream. Remember, you get lifetime access if you buy once over at meetkevin.com, and you could use coupon code Mr. Too Late. We'll see you there, folks.